Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Hyper Light Drifter. If you remember from last time, we finished up the eastern area, taking on Toad Boss and causing him no end of consternation. We've raised the right pillar there, as you can see, and we are ready to begin our trek northward. We're going to be trying out the grenades and the shotgun for the first official time this episode. If you watch the Eastern area recap, you can see where I managed that already. We can see, just like the Eastern area, we are put into a secret rich environment, and it's the remains of the city, just like before. We can see skyscrapers and whatnot. Notice that in the early areas it seems like we're fighting these little short imp black creatures, whatever these things are supposed to be. They sort of serve as a pre-enemy, an enemy before the actual level's enemies come out. I like that even they have a quote decapitated end quote animation, just getting split in half, of course. Really seems like we should be able to dash over there, but no such. We saw a guardian like that in the eastern area. It's interesting. This one's not quite standing at the gate. I don't know, maybe they were an advanced force or something? I haven't used the shotgun to its full potential yet, but believe me, when I do, it quickly becomes one of my favorites. Now, what's tripping me up here is there's actually a goblin guy to the south. Ass in there. The blocks weren't moving until I killed him. So one of the things I like is that each of the areas has a really different feel than the others do. Just messing around here. So we stand at the precipice. Some people think the northern area rather than the eastern one is the tutorial. As I've mentioned, I think they're probably about equal. But as you may be getting the sense, this is mountainous regions that we're heading up to. Notice again the little secret square there. Hey. Well, it looks like we've got some sort of dark king to face at the very tippity top of Mount Doom, or whatever it is. In a stark contrast from the eastern area, we are here going to be climbing to the most important spot to find the king. Somebody in the thread mentioned, and I agree, that it's not entirely clear that Toad Boss was actually the leader of the Toads. There was that little patch of ground over there. It's exactly the kind of thing you want to have a look out for. Yeah, but might in fact have just been the biggest and the angriest Toad. The bandits didn't really show much sign of centralized leadership. It's still not exactly clear what the frog's plan was, but presumably we will find a different story in this area. And in fact, I'll spoil it, no frogs or toads to be found anywhere. They couldn't hop up here if they wanted to. Oh my goodness, that is a lot of keys. And we see crows are the ticket this time. The shotgun is pretty good against them. It takes them out in one hit. When they're flying, they are unable to be hit. and then they come down and swoop at you is how they do their damage. The big wind-up hit is also really good. They'll go down in one regular sword swipe, so if you time it right, that'll kill them as is. But the timing can get to be a bit finicky, especially if there's multiple of them charging at you at once. Now, this is just a great place to be using that big swipe. Lovely. This is the first place we've really seen it be pitch dark. And as you can see, we're going to need to clear this area. This area's boss before we can get in down there. Look at that. That is a cool centerpiece. That thing's gotta be bigger than the one that was in the eastern area, right? I mean, it's practically the size of a mountain. One thing that I really do like about the game is the basic movement that you have. The way you get around is always just, dashing and running and all that, but it really feels different area to area. When we were in the eastern lands, it felt like we were sort of dashing above the water and skimming our way, ninja style, above things. Look at those dead bird guys over there. But here, you get the sense that we're climbing and we're really gaining altitude very quickly. Shotgun is nice against the birds because it's just an instant attack. Here's some new enemies. The wolves are basically the worst version of those goblins that charge at you. They've got an attack that they telegraph, a lunging attack. However, there's less of a build-up. And it's harder to tell exactly when they're going. This is fertile ground for those upgrade points, and that's something if nothing else. Now, looks like we got a blood altar here, which, given the vaguely Tibetan or Incan setup for this area, isn't, it's a little ominous, I suppose. Very worthwhile diversion there. Look at this cool little house. Those are clearly supposed to be sort of Tibetan prayer flags up there on the top. That's at least one influence. Well, there we get a sense of what's happened here. This is basically the version of the refugee temple from the eastern area. And it looks like that bird used to be a priest of some description, or was at least involved in civic life somehow, and was exiled by a new radical group. Ooh, it's the dog. We know what that means. We might get to see that awesome guy. Yes! So cool. Look at him. But does it look like he has a bit of a cough? I wonder if, like us, he's struggling with some sickness. He seems to be bearing up under it a little better than we do. We sort of stagger back and forth and cough blood everywhere, and he's just got this barely noticeable cough. But then he is really awesome, so I wouldn't be surprised. can officially get anything we want from the store. I think at this point I'm going to open what my next upgrade should be up to the thread. I'll show you guys the possibilities, and we can take a little vote on it. Now, after that secret, we could just head back and do the fight in that little catacombs there, or notice that second secret button. That's right, secrets within secrets. That's the kind of game we've got going here. And we are well rewarded. The scene of a tussle, just like the first major module in the eastern area. So it looks like the major modules are points of some contention. Somebody's scrapping over them anyway. It's still not exactly clear what they are. I wonder if the fact that they have the same basic setup in all, both so far the lands we've been in, I guess I'll spoil that. There's major modules in every land. So you wonder if those were there from some primitive civilization. By primitive, I also mean hyper-advanced, of course, but, precursor might have been a better term there. This area is really showering us with health packs, which does lend some credence to this area was supposed to be the tutorial theory. Those wolves can really bushwhack you before you get a chance to build up your big swing, but unfortunately little swings don't kill or stagger them. So you've got to be careful. You've got to do some judicious dodging. We had to run towards enemies in the last area. Here you find yourself running away a good bit. Now, who's this guy? They shoot those little beams at you is what they do. Those are, I believe, the first attack to do 2 damage. Okay, on and recording. Ready to go in 3, 2, 1, go. And so if you get a couple of them all hitting you with that attack, it can do a good bit of damage. Now, obviously, they telegraphed a lot. Look at that grenade. It just clears out enemies before you even start the fight. Grenades are so good, especially if you get any kind of early warning advance on what the scraps are going to be. Obviously, for some enemies, they work better than others, but they are always well worth it. So I would not be opposed if you guys wanted me to get a second grenade. Now, look at that. This area seems... I wish I had the grenade here. Actually, that would have been just absolutely perfect. Look at how quick they'll dash you down. That's after only 2 hits with these things. I don't know what I was aiming for there. The shotgun is as well proving its worth, I'll say that. It's basically, if you're close up, it is like a charge shot, but it takes 0 time to wind up. So, yes please. Keys are always a bit harder to find in the area. The difficulty really steeply ramps up after you get past the labyrinth with the wolves in it. And this section, despite being, one of the earlier easy sections, does have its share of fights. Back there you saw one of those pillars that we can't access until we get a certain weapon. Boy, we are wealthy. Look at that little area right there. Sure enough, it disappears right away. Now this is a big old wall right here. I kind of wasted my grenade there. I was a little upset about that, but I knew there was going to be a lot of the wizards, or whatever they are here. Not bad at all. I think we're going to make it to the teleporter with this first update, and then there's sort of 2 branching paths after we make it to there, and I'll take those in the next 2 updates, or the next 1 depending on how fast they go. Gotta forget about that. But here we meet the final enemy of this area, It was the big wizard. And I probably should have let him actually get a hit off there. I forgot how much those big hits did. He shoots those little pink squares at you and they track, so let me let this one actually hit me. There you go. And if you're too close to him, he has a big splash attack. He can mess you up. It's best to charge him right away if you're able to. Now see, there's the danger of the wind-up shots. You leave yourself vulnerable to follow-up swipes. And believe me, as the level goes on, those guys start coming at you faster and faster, and by the time there's, 5 or 6 of them swiping at you at once, it's rough times. So that was the big brawl for this chapter, at least the early one, like in the Eastern chapter. We had that first update too, and I think I did better this time. Now we had more tools, we had more options available to us, but I also think, my skills are improving. Well, that's our first tour of the northern area. But thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.